Hey now, February 1st, dude. January's over. It's done. It's gone. Today we're talking about Toyota and science. GM making it rain and Gen Alpha coming in hot. Woo!
I go. The people
Alpha.
really want to know who I is and who I be.
I feel like
So
we
we
were
were
just
just having-
6 months. 6 months ago, everyone was like, millennial this.
It was just 6 months. You know, you and I were just having this conversation before we started the show today that I'm technically Gen X, but benchmark like more like a millennial because of my embrace of technology, you said. And then I started thinking about the Gen X span of like, you start thinking about 20 years. It's like, does that mean Brian Benstock and I are on opposite ends of Gen X? Is that really true?
Oh,
I was born
great.
in
That's
79.
funny.
It's like, is that really true? I think it's true.
There you go. There you go.
Man, I think, you know what I think it means is that I'm getting old. Is what it means.
Oh,
My voice,
man.
that is what it means, man. Gen X now it's like 2 generations, and it's like, you know, I got teenagers in my house that are Gen out. Yeah, it's a thing. How did this
Golly.
happen? It's like people always joke, like, how did my dad's picture get on my driver's license?
Oh, no. Yeah, I know. That's coming. It's so coming. Oh, man.
I just realized I have no idea what your dad looks like.
So I definitely index toward my mom's side of the family. So like,
Okay.
I probably won't ever end up with my dad's picture on my driver's license.
Okay.
My uncle, like you could literally just be like, here's Kyle. You show the driver's license. It's like, yep, that's the guy. He's just 6 inches shorter than Kyle. That's about it.
That's
So,
amazing. Well, you got the height. You got the height, man.
yeah.
I just
And I'll
realized
take it because my uncle's so suave, dude. Full on suave, dude. Smart as
I like it.
Yeah.
Suave.
I'll take it.
Suave is the word we don't use enough. We don't use the word suave enough. Man, my voice is still gone from NAD.
I'm not all the way there. Like I sing to the kids every night before bed, just a little, you know, a little ditty, and I like try and hit it in falsetto just to make it a little light, right? Just a little head voice action, if you know what I'm talking about, you
It
musicians.
doesn't.
And I've been like,
work.
all right, I'm gonna start down here.
All right, baby.
It's like this
Time to get some sleep.
totally different
Yeah.
song, basically.
I think I'd probably be recovered now if it wasn't for watching the Eagles game with a couple of folks from
got
Sioka
crushed.
Subaru in a bar in doubt. Like, I just literally decided at there, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to scream a little bit, and it was a bad idea. But I
Paul,
don't.
I gotta
regret it.
tell you, one more thing about our morning while we're hanging out talking about random stuff. Just this is wild. Ready? Last night at 6-ish, Nashville called a snow day. Everybody in Nashville, you know how much snow there was? That much. Zero. None. We got a little bit of freezing rain and it was a little icy on the wood deck, but other than that, chill. The kids were like, what's a snow day without snow?
Yeah, that is pretty lame, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least if it's a snow day, we go out, make a snowball or two.
And
Figure
it's
out
not
what's
even
going on.
sunny. It's like dark, cloudy, and nasty rain. It's unbelievable.
Better day to have
Welcome
a
to
school day and
Nashville.
get out of school. I know. Well, welcome to Syracuse. It's going to be like -8 this weekend. So
Oh my
we're
goodness.
straight up in February now. All right, let's talk about a little bit of news. We'll get into it. Hey, by the way, if you don't subscribe to our daily email, we hope that you will, because while we were at NADA, dozens of people were coming up to us saying, I love the email. It's the first thing I read before I get out of bed. I read it all the way to the bottom. So it was super, super cool getting all of this feedback, direct feedback about the email. So we think that you'll enjoy it, not because we said so, but because all the people that came up and said, it's one of the best things I read every day. So
Things that
check
I
it out.
forgot to do. Take my phone out when they were saying that. Say that again.
Oh my
Do it.
gosh.
Okay.
If we had all
Trust
of those
us,
on
it
the
really was. It really was a thing.
dude,
And
how did we miss that opportunity?
unbelievable. I get so encouraged by that, and I get encouraged by our daily email. I read it. I'm like, man, this is good stuff. Huh? Okay, that's a funny joke. Okay, I'll take that. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yes, for sure. Oh, Michael Cirillo bounces in the comments. He says, y'all miss Snowmageddon 2.0 in Dallas by a single day. That's true, man. Like full ground stop yesterday.
unbelievable. Yeah,
He said-
1900 flights out. Gonzo.
Can you imagine if that was on Sunday? What a mess. What a mess.
What
He said
a mess.
they pull full ground stop. They just don't want anybody to slip.
Right.
So
Exactly.
here we go. All right. Let's get
Into it.
some-
Get into it.
some
We had
automated news. All right.
Hey, look, every once in a while, we just got to have some fun, everybody. Okay.
I know.
Sound
Well,
good
that's
now?
part of this, right? If we're going to be the essential automotive community, like community isn't based around news.
Yeah.
Communities based around personal things around one another and what you're up to, what you're doing. All right. So today we are talking about Toyota again this morning as their chief scientist, Gill Pratt, made a presentation at the World Economic Forum that posed a very scientific argument about how a hybrid path to electrification will make a significantly more positive impact on carbon emissions than an EV only approach. So here's how it goes. His argument starts with 100 ICE vehicles, and they produce 250 grams of carbon or CO2 per kilometer, right? Okay, 100 vehicles.
Right. I got it. 100 vehicles, 250. 100, 250.
Per kilometer, 250 per mile. Then he assumes, fair assumption, that there's a limited supply of lithium, right? That's the, Kyle's getting the paper and the pen out.
Here we go.
He assumes there's a limited supply of lithium, which we all know there is, which we can tell there's going to be a problem. He's holding, we got visual aids now from Kyle. Thank you. So then he says the limited supply of lithium, which he says is 100 kilowatt hours, can only power fully electric, produce one full EV out of the 100. So now we have 99 ICE vehicles, one EV, and now basically that still produces 248.5 grams of CO2, which is, you remember, is only 2.5 less, 1.5 less grams. There you go. Another visual aid. So we started out with 250 grams. Now we used all our lithium on one EV. We have produced, 0.5 less grams of carbon. Now he says, if we spread that same amount of lithium around and make hybrid batteries and we can turn 90 of those 100 vehicles into hybrid vehicles, producing only 205 grams of carbon. So it's almost over a 30% reduction. So he says, look, if we take our...
So what he's saying is 205 is less than 250. Is that what we're trying? Is that
by a lot
point right there?
By a lot.
205 is less than 250. Okay.
Actually, no. He's saying 205. He's saying 205 is less than 248.5.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Same deal.
So basically, he says, look, if we're going to spread this lithium around and do it effectively, if we really care about reducing carbon, really care about that, then we're going to go with a hybrid approach. Now, Toyota isn't like saying we're not going to produce any full EVs. They are. They're going to have an all-electric future with their Lexus line, but when the hybrids come into play, they plan to sell 5.5 million hybrids by 500.
We did it. We made a logical conclusion to get to 2030. It's amazing.
So they plan to sell 5.5 million plug-in hybrids by the year 2030, more than double last year's complete global output of 2.6 million.
Wow. Is there a quadruple crown anywhere? They got the triple crown yesterday. We're just going to throw in the quadruple crown for them today. Man.
Sherry Stevens, thank you for the comment. Data for the win. It's amazing. No one calculated this before. Well, it's hard to calculate things when like the pop culture train is about to run over you.
Just steamrolling everything.
You don't got time. You just got to get off the tracks, man.
This is a measured approach. We've talked about the measured approach of Toyota with their ex-president and CEO Toyoda, now moving to chairman. He's been an advocate, saying yesterday he was a silent majority on this move to full electrification. And now for us to see the data that they've probably had sitting in their C-suite meetings for quite some time behind that. I mean, for me, it's like, all right, look at that. The rest of the OEMs, how do we take measured approaches to get there? I don't think that a full EV future is out of the question. I just think that we have to push it out and make sure and take these measured approaches, understand how lithium impacts, understand how production and mining and all of that happens. But this is the way to approach change in manufacturing. That, along with Toyota already knowing the market shifts in desirability of hybrids. Like, they've proven out the model that people want hybrids with their sales, with their global sales numbers. Yep. Welcome to the thing, y'all.
Well, we're gonna loop this back in to our Gen Alpha conversation at the end. We are, but but we're talking about a little manufacturing news, right? We're just getting out of NADA. So speaking of manufacturing news,
segue
time. Let's go. Yo, GM coming out swinging. Q4 profits posted $2 billion with a B, as the supply chain loosens up. Oh, by the way, let me pause right there. If you don't know, we produce show notes for the show every day with the links to the articles that we posted. So if you got a little confused on the last one, just go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, click subscribe on the podcast. You can check the audio version out later if you're on the live stream, etc. But you can also go in and click on the show notes, which can get you back to some of this that we hope you use in conversations with your team and with vendors, etc., etc. So Q4 profits, $2 billion for GM. From the article, GM executives told analysts the company doesn't plan to get drawn into a price war on electric vehicles. Yesterday, talked about Ford lowering its prices on its Mach-E to follow Tesla. But they say right now we feel like we're priced where we need to be, says CEO Mary Barra. On an earnings call, GM is planning several new EV launches this year, including the Blazer, which is similar size to Tesla Model Y, and the Ford Mach-E, both priced below $36,000. So it feels like they already had the margin thing figured out. And they're like, we don't need no price cuts. It's still 20 grand cheaper. But even with the price cuts, and you can get your $7,500 off. So that's like, is it just me, or is this seem like full EVs under 30 grand?
Yeah.
Right? What's the Chevy Volt? Chevy Volt's already 30 grand, under 30 grand.
Exactly. And this is this is the argument that they're making is, hey, look, we've got this figured out. We can be in a competitive price point. And I think the competitive price point is what takes a larger adoption in EV vehicles. And so
right.
I think we're going to have to see more people doing this. And the fact that they've already got vehicles aligned with those price points, other manufacturers like Tesla and Ford are attempting to get there with steep price reductions.
Mm-hmm.
Have I said measured approach this morning yet?
Oh, we need a trigger pad for that soon. GM also announced yesterday. Oh, and by the way, we're investing $650 million in a mining company to jointly develop a lithium extraction project in Nevada. So maybe we can go visit it when we're at NADA next year.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be fun? That'd be a lot of fun. We should do a live show from a lithium extraction model, from a lithium extraction point. Maybe they'll let us drive one of those really, really big excavators.
They wouldn't let me in one of those. I can tell you that, right?
Well, they might let you in the back.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, all right.
No segue. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm
excited about this.
I'm just going to stop it. All right. So we talked about Gen Alpha, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. There's a great conversation going on Retail Wire. And the question posed is it time for retailers and dealers, we would say, because dealers are retailers, to start paying attention to Generation Alpha as they influence purchasing decisions and begin to enter their teenage years? So Generation Alpha started in 2010. That's the beginning. If you were born after 2010 and you're alive right now, you're Generation Alpha. It'll go till 2025, and they're expecting this to be one of the largest generations ever at 2 billion people. So
wow.
Talk about the research, Kyle.
All right. So last year, from Cassandra by Big Village, they found out 64% of 7 to 12-year-olds, so in that range, would this is messed up. Would rather be
messed up.
It's amazing. Would rather be a social media influencer than president of the United States. Now, when asking how they introduce themselves, 58% of that pool said that they were a gamer. And then here's the one that really this gets me right here. 82% agreed that they can figure most things out if they have access to technology. Which
there's so much to break down here. There's so much to break down. Number one,
so much.
Let's start at the top.
Okay.
Rather be a YouTuber than the president of the United States. Kyle, have you seen the president of the United States? Does it look like he's having any fun?
Not having any fun.
Have you seen Mr. Beast?
Mr.
Does it
Beast,
look like
dude,
he's
perfect.
having any
all
fun?
Them people, they having so much. Mr. Beast gave away 1,000 cataract surgeries the other day. Like, I think everybody wants to be that guy.
I think that's not very shocking to me. Like, who wants to be the president of the United States? Let's see a picture. Let's hear some video clips. Now who wants to be a YouTuber? Let's see some videos. Let's see some.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then kids these days, here I go. Kids these days, right? They use the word billion more than I did until I was like in my 30s.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost commonplace,
And I would also add this. I think it's not going to be too long before we have a president who is also a YouTube influencer.
Whoa.
I mean, look, doesn't that just make sense? Look, if Donald Trump
It makes
can
so
become the
much sense.
president as like a TV celebrity and like a businessman, why
Well,
wouldn't
like-
it make sense that someone turns their YouTube influence, like somebody who's really thinking through problems, who's in touch with pop culture, that they would be able to convert that into like, hey, you know what? I'm very informed. And like it's the last thing that you said. Like most people say that they could figure most things. 82% said they can figure most things out if they have access to technology. So I think it's pretty probable that we'll get a very thoughtful, well-informed, well-rounded, heavily influential person who happens to be a YouTube influencer that makes a run for president. You heard it here first, folks.
Coming at you. I can see it. I can see such a clear line to that happening. I mean, just the attention and voting power that people that are paying attention to Mr. Beast alone right now. You know, it's absolutely incredible.
All right, let's get the wheels to the ground for everybody who's working in automotive today.
Yeah.
Right. Are you paying attention to Generation Alpha? Right. That means like your 12-year-olds, your 11-year-olds, your 10-year-olds. You think they're influencing purchasing decisions. You already know that they are because you see them in their stores. So how can you start to actually court them as your future employees, as people who are going to know who you are, know what your brand is, what you stand for, because they expect to be involved in their active participants in the purchasing decision. They're not passive. You know, and so they expect a lot of things. They focus on mental health more than any other generation because they grew up in a pandemic. They grew up through social unrest, you know, rhetoric around ecological crises. They expect diversity, equity, and inclusion as just a normal part of life.
Right.
Right.
It's not
all these
some
expectations.
effort. It's just a thing that is a part of life for them. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, so somebody, Louis Delgado puts in the comments, Joe Rogan. It's on a little bit of a delay, so I think he's talking about a YouTuber becoming president.
Yeah. Joe Rogan's gonna make a couple.
I wouldn't call him a YouTuber though.
He's not a YouTuber, and he makes enough people mad. You know what I mean?
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
One expert here recommended a VP of pop culture for companies. I think that especially some of the larger groups are going to probably see some sort of like position dedicated to understanding what the culture is doing, how it's flexing, how that impacts hiring decisions, attracting new talent, even the way that we communicate as brands is important, right? If the large brands that are growing in popularity are communicating on YouTube and Reddit threads and Discord, and they're growing audiences based on that, then organizations are going to have to communicate in that same way. And then you're going to have to double down on that in showroom experiences, online experiences, and understand how all those threads are tied together.
So true. So true. Bottom line, pay attention and have fun. You do both of those things. Don't you think? I think. Well, we're paying attention.
We're paying attention and we're having fun. So
to Sherry and Shelly and Michael and Brian and Luis or Lewis, whoever was commenting in the thread, thank you today. Tell your friends about what's going on over here because we need them in the conversation too.
Share it out.